First things first, Fabio. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Just had a concert here at this wonderful record store. And we played the Germany tour until yesterday. We had 6 concerts. So I feel a bit tired, but happy.
Well, before we talk about your new album, I'd like to go back a little bit. You are obviously a musician, but you also make animated shorts and a film. You're a filmographer.
Yeah.
Which passion came first?
Well, music was always there. I've always made music. I remember when I went to high school, I often skipped school to be able to make music. Somehow I managed to finish school anyway. And yeah, I studied architecture just for a really short amount of time, then got back into music, then went to art school, and it was always it went hand in hand, studying, making films. Still nowadays I'm still making films. It's really depending on which project I'm on. So
And will you say music was always around? Was it a big thing in your household growing up?
you mean family wise?
Yeah.
Actually, no, not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. I'm actually the only one that is making music, and also it's not like that. I would have had the parents with the big records laying around. I actually did it more on my own, the other way around.
What got you into it? Do you remember?
Well, as a teenager, I was really into hip hop, into Swiss hip hop, because that was what I was understanding back then.
Sure.
And from there, I took the path in the other way around. As when you're in the 90s, a kid 13 years old, what you hear is the remix of the remix of the remix.
Right.
And so I had to get to Swiss rap to understand the US rap, their roots, to get to soul music, because they were basically just doing a modern version of soul music with all those samples and the whole, also the black culture behind it. And yeah, that's how I ended up with the soul music. But that was just one thing, because I was always into rock music, Radiohead. I listened even to hardcore stuff and Pantera and everything. So that was, of course, electronic music, even pop music. And I think it's the sum of all those little parts that, brought me where I am now.
When did you think I want to create my own music? Because, well, you say you listen to all these kinds of music.
Yeah.
When does being creative yourself come into it?
From the beginning, actually. Yeah, I took piano lesson as a child, and there the spirit. I didn't play classical music. There, the spirit was it's jazz, it's improvisation. You learn keys and all that kind of stuff, and to play a lead melody or something. But it was always here you got 16 bars, improvisation. So it was always sitting on the instrument. For me, was always playing my own stuff actually. So yeah, that's actually the thing. If I play with a band, they are studied. They know what they're doing. I just play my stuff because that's all I know.
So right now, then, when you perform live, is improvisation still part of it?
Yes and no. It's not free jazz. It's the songs are written, because on the same hand I'm a perfectionist, and I wanna just get the best arrangement. But we have parts and bits where we are a bit freer. Okay. And we just really want to get that space to make stuff happen.
And well, you mentioned you're kind of balancing between your film career and doing music. What do you get out of, because these are two very different creative expressions, what do you get out of having multiple ways of expressing yourself?
I think if I'd only be making music, it could get easily too much. If you can't sit in the studio and write new songs every day. Well, there are people who are able to do it. I'm not that kind of person, and I really love to go with the flow with one project and really dive into it and spend all my time on it. And when this one is finished, I move on to the next one. And yeah, I think that's the main inspiration of those two projects, like just being away from one side to then come back after another experience.
So are they very separate in a way?
They are actually, yes. Of course, there's like film has sound design, film has music, and that's of course a part which is important, very important. But often, if I make a film, I feel like there's no need to like brand it and say like it's Pablo Nouvelle who did the film. It's like no, it's like it's something else.
So this might be a bit strange of a question, but is Pablo Nouvelle quite different from Fabio?
No, actually no. Actually no. Well, it's I don't know. Let me think about it. Actually, the name is coming from people getting confused with my name and calling me Pablo. So it was actually not my idea to call myself Pablo. It was like, even nowadays, people forget my name. And even if they don't know about my music project, they call me Pablo.
Okay.
So apparently I have like a Pablo aura.
It's taken a life of its own.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So when it came to All I Need, I read you wrote about 40 songs. When did the album start to take shape?
It was actually around a year ago when I decided now I really have to make an album. I want to release my music. I need to make a point, like to just take the best of it and put it into an album and get it out there. To not just like be on a endless like spinning around.
Right.
But the songs, it's the best of the last 3 years besides the EPs I released, because I really wanted to have only fresh music on it. So yeah, it's the last 3 years that was like building into this album.
Were you looking for a certain thread through the songs or a coherence, or are these the best songs that you did?
It's not a concept album. It's really more like a best of with a really hard quality control, I'd say.
Okay. Well, you work with a lot of different singers on the record. How did you pick which singers to work with?
It's very different. Often I found singers in the internet, like on music blogs, and just try to get to them, just try to reach them, see if I know someone who knows them, and then I just like wrote them. And if it worked out, we just met and went into the studio and worked. And still then you don't really know how it will turn out, which is the interesting part about it, about co-writing sessions, because like you get to know someone while writing a song, and yeah, you're exposing yourself in a way. But yeah, it's a great thing.
How much of the song idea is already done by you by the time you...
It's pretty different. Like sometimes I have like a whole like beat, even an arrangement already there, different parts, and we all just have to like put it together. Sometimes I just have like a few chords, a few harmonies on the piano, and I know like this is going into a direction I want to work on. But yeah, mainly I bring something or a lot of like sketches and ideas into a session.
Which collaboration was for you the most difficult to get through?
The most difficult? Yeah. Actually, I haven't had such difficult sessions. There was like one session with a guy, the interaction was a bit strange, and we didn't really get on, like, I don't know, just not on a certain level. But meanwhile, we just wrote a song which was amazing.
Okay.
And on the other hand, I had...
Which song is that?
I won't tell.
Fair enough.
And on the other hand, there are like... I had amazing times with singers, had really a lot of fun, and we ended up with having nothing at all. So.
Do you take away something from working with other artists? Do they kind of, because you've been music for quite a while now, do you take things away from how they do stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you always like this, you just get more and more experience, and like every session gives you become more and more certain about what you do, and it definitely had a big influence for me to change from just sampling and work on my own to work with all those different, very, very talented singers and musicians.
Did your compositions change because of that?
Yeah, definitely. They got more, like more songy, you know. They have more like of a structure, maybe a bit more traditional, because you work like with the singer who takes his space, and before it was just like you just have this tiny little sample of a vocal bit, and you have to like build a whole instrumental around it, and now you have the possibility to create from scratch. So yeah, it's a whole different situation.
Yeah, what you mentioned, was it important for you to not have the samples come from somewhere else, but to create those samples yourself?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, as I said, it's something completely different, and it was like a new start for me also to like do this writing sessions where I didn't know if it really would work out in the beginning, but yeah.
Was it a risk in that way?
Again?
Did you see it as a risk in that way?
Well, a risk, yeah, it could have not worked out, yes, but then I would still like could have go back into like more instrumental kind of music, which is always tempting. Still now I can imagine to like release a pure instrumental album in the future, but for now it's like touring and this album. And
Well, because there is one Ave is
yes,
an
yeah.
instrumental song. So when this must have been a couple years ago, but when did you say to yourself, I need some vocals on my music, and that I want to go in that direction?
It always felt natural for me to have vocals in those songs, probably in a different way than like like a traditional pop song where there's like it's all about the vocals often, and the production is just like to have a ground for the vocalist to perform. For me, a vocalist is more like another instrument to put here and there, but it's like just one of a lot of instruments that have to play together.
And in a similar sense then, because well, you obviously play live, and then while it's still electronic music, it's not just the DJs that you like to play it live. So is that important to have that element as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have no clue about DJing. Okay. I'm a pure musician, and that's where I'm coming from, to really like play instruments, and even like the samples. The machine is an instrument as well, where I just I can play whatever I want, but it's like it's played. It's not a playback.
Well, you've mentioned in previous interviews and then even today, that you kind of grew up with listening to soul and those kind. Did you ever try to sing yourself?
Only under the shower.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Last question. The album's called All I Need. When did the song title pop up? The album title?
Very late, actually. Yeah, until a few weeks before we started to like manufacture the album, I didn't know about the title, and I was like thinking about tons of titles, and suddenly it was clear like All I Need is such a special song, as it makes the bridge from like my previous album to the Now and Here, as it has, as the only song of the album, it has still a sample in it. But there's Lulu James with the real vocals. It's like it combines that whole Pablo Nouvelle universe. So suddenly it was clear like actually that's the one. And I like this soul tradition of having a title track. It's like very traditional, and somehow I really like it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.